Say the line, Bart.
Less is more. Yeah! He said the thing. Yeah, he said the thing. Anyway, no, but I mean, like, we hear it all the time, but truly less is more. And I have fought against this probably my entire producing career time. I don't know. Like, I said it, like, if you've seen tutorials and you've seen all that kind of, I like wall of sound. I like just stuffing the arrangement full of drum breaks and loops and all this stuff. But does it really matter? Is it all really necessary? Sometimes. But in most cases, it's clutter. It's there because you feel like you can't get away with less. You feel like you need to layer and do all these things because you hear that other people do it, but do they really? Simplicity it's impactful, it's bold, it's also a bit scary because with so little, if you're working with fewer parts, you really have to make sure that those parts all have a purpose, that they are strong. Your kick is nice and punchy. Your snare, your clap, or whatever is where you want it to be. Any shakers or loops, they have a purpose. You're not just throwing them in the pot and hoping something good comes out. You're using only what's necessary, nothing extra. What you put in has a purpose. And if it doesn't have a purpose, it doesn't need to be there. I have one tune like this, only one, because like I said, terrible. But my simplest, most effective tune has to be GreenGreyBlue off my last EP. It really is just like a bare bones production. There's really nothing going on. It's like drum loop, a bass line, a melodic sample that's really doing all the work. And there's kind of a vocal phrase every now and then. You got 4 things. There's a couple extra bits here and there, but there's not a lot of extra bits. There aren't unnecessary, drum loops to fill in where some frequencies are. It's like, no, everything is there for a reason and there's nothing extra. The fat has been trimmed. And ultimately, I think it makes it for a better tune because it started off as me trying to clutter stuff, and in the end, the best thing I could do is remove a lot of things that just didn't matter. And in this video, I'm gonna show you a couple of those things and how it's all pieced together. So let's go over there. Now we're in the DAW. This is the project file for GreenGreyBlue. Let me minimize some stuff so we can see it. And yeah, it is really simple. It really is. Like, compared to my own projects, this is like nothing. Anyway, a couple drum loops. There's 2 bass line layers that work together. There's this main sample that drives the home tune. There's an occasional something else string samples we'll get into. There's effects, which was just a stem from an older track. I didn't even go in on like the whooshes and stuff. And then there's this vocal. That's it. In this case, less was more. But again, let's always talk about the opposite. Sometimes more is more. So your mileage may vary. So you've heard the tune. If you haven't, check the link in the description, go listen to it. Let's see how it flows from like the first drop. Pretty simple, right? Not a lot going on. Sample, drums, and a bass. Again, talking about less is more. All we're really hearing is the one drum break, which consists of kick, snare, or a clap in this case, and like 2 kind of shaker loops, and an occasional feel like a ride comes in. That's like 4 or 5-ish layers, all working towards what we consider the drums, right? Nothing extra, nothing else. That's all this blue stuff right here. All right, let me flip back over to the thing, obviously. All this blue stuff right here is the drums. That's it. Bass. What's the bass? What's so cool about this bass sound? Absolutely nothing. And that's it. There's the sub. And then there's, make it a little louder, it's bounced. Not louder, but visually louder. And that's it. Like all it's doing is just like the bass line that I made up. Like it wasn't in the sample. I kind of just made it up. So like we play with the sample, it's just like drifting on. That's like 75% of the tune right there. Add the drums. You get like another percussion loop, but nothing crazy. Again, that's basically it. Like normally I'd have like 4 or 5 more tracks of loops just filling in space and honestly not doing much, but I'm convinced they're doing more because that's what forums and other tutorials and other stuff kind of tells me. But in reality, it's like, it's not the case. So we break these little bits apart. We have the drums, right? And so again, kick and clap, whatever else is considered a clap. Simple. Shaker. That's basically it. And then like a clap. Here we go. Like a live clap to go with this one. And that's the drums. So if we consider like worlds within worlds, you have the world of the drum loop, right? Which is just the kick snare and a little shaker loop. All that makes the one world, which is the drums. The drums also live in the in the solar system of the bass and the melody and the vocals. Okay. I don't know where that analogy going, but it's all there to serve the idea. The bass line keeps the rhythm going, keeps the groove going. It also fills out the bottom of the melody, so it feels like the sample and the bass line are all one thing. That's the entire tune. As you can see, it's just one long, like here's the sample, that's the stem I made after bouncing everything. But the actual thing where I pieced it all together is right here. All these little individual cuts and stuff. It's just the same loop over and 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 over. All right. And in these extra bits and like phrase endings, we have, what's this? A little pad sample. That's it. We have down here this other sample, which came from another tune of mine. Yep, with a bunch of delays. It's the same thing, and that's it. The main sample is doing all the work. And that brings up a good point, is that sample selection and, you know, your ingredients are the most important thing. Like strong ingredients make for a strong dish. The right amount of each ingredient make for a balanced dish. All right. Anything extra to this tune would have ruined it, more or less. Let's piece apart parts and other things. So we have like this. It's ambient. It's a field recording, more or less, from my phone. Atmosphere. That's just one little layer to add like atmospheric interest. So like in the beginning, you kind of feel like you're in this world I'm creating. Is this doing anything? Nope. Can't find it right now. I'm gonna ignore it. It's like a little melodic thing. Yeah, that's it. And then I have what? This? Nope. Yeah, a little thing to push it over the edge. Oh, there's just one little sample here. It's from Tea Time, for those of you who didn't know that. That's it. Like I love the whole EP, sure, but this is like the tune that most people have gravitated towards because I guess it has that feeling, that vibe, and it's really simple. It's more song-like in its construction, even though it's like a straightforward drum and bass track. You know what I mean? But it's just simple and easy to understand from a listener's point of view, and I think that is a very valid point when, you know, writing tunes, because sometimes you're too caught up in, well, producers like this and producers do this, and all my forums and my articles and my blog posts and the stupid listicle things on like TikTok. Oh, 5 things you need to do to make your tracks better, which are all, yeah, sort of useful, but stupid in a sense, because without context, they mean nothing, but that's a rant for another day. The point is, like, I don't know what the point is. Like, you really don't need any more than you need. You're trying to serve the idea. The idea is what's important, not, ooh, I flexed my sound design. Unless that is part of your idea, then go for it. Again, in a case where more is more, then more is more. But if you don't need more, you probably do away with less. So anyway, one last little thing in this piece. Again, if we just look at the overall structure, it's real quick like. So intro, ambient intro, 16 bars, right? 17, we get a drum loop. You feel like something's coming. It's introducing the breakdown, the main loop of the melody. And that's the main sample loop, or the main loop is going to go on until like the second half of the tune. And then a vocal comes in.
This color's changed from green to gray to blue. You see me, and I see you.
And it drops, bar 49. 65, nothing new happens other than a percussion loop and a vocal jumps back in.
It's been a few years since we crossed paths. I looked at you looked at me, we made each other laugh.
And it's 16 bars later. It's a different vocal phrase, and it's kind of the same groove.
You see me, and I see you. This color's changed from green to gray to blue. You see me, and I see you.
16 bars later, it's that, but stripped back. Then we have the breakdown, ambience, again, kind of resets you, puts you back in the headspace. Then
it's been a few years since we crossed paths. I looked at you,
same
looked
thing.
at me. You see me, and I see you. This color's changed from green to gray to blue.
And then in this section, the riffs change a little bit. The bass, the main sample is a different loop. Honestly, I think all I did was like rearrange a section and then made a different bass line. So it feels like a different part of a tune. Like there's an evolution. Like here's the beginning, we felt this way. Here's this part, we feel this way. If you want to make up a story about it, sure. There's one extra bit. It came from Tea Time, another sample, a little pad. All I did was cut it up. I like pitched it within the parts. So each of these little cuts are different pitch. Simple and effective, bold, nothing to hide behind. Everything that's there has a purpose. Less is more. That's all I'm basically saying. Could I have done more? Yeah. Did I try doing more? Yeah, I did. I did leave a lot of stuff out of this. Would that have necessarily made this a better track? Could the idea any better or more realized? Who knows? But what's there is there, and what's not there is not there. I don't know. I keep harping on it, but I have what I need and a couple extra things, but nothing in excess. Because in this case, less was more. Welcome to my TED Talk. I hope that helped. Hope it kind of gave you an understanding of what I mean by less is more. Like it's tough. This, where it seems like nothing, but for me and how I've worked so much over the years, like for me to strip back and not use that many parts and, you know, be just that focused and dialed in on the details is something that's taken a lot of work, and it's taken a lot of just getting over myself and trying to push out that voice that's like, hey, do this, layer this, add this processing, do that, because none of that would have served the tune, okay? And ultimately, what we want to do is serve our ideas the best way we can. And like, you know, like a good steak, right, is a good steak. You can put it on a golden plate, put millions of dollars in jewels and a nice, I don't know, a good fork next to it, but that steak still tastes like a steak, right? So why not just stick it on a regular plate from, you know, Walmart, chop it up and eat it? You know what I mean? That's a terrible analogy, but you get what I'm saying. You might get what I'm saying if you've been here a couple times. You can dress it up as much as you want. You can add all this extra bits, but if the core idea isn't there, none of that extra stuff matters, okay? Work on your core ideas. Try working with less. It'll help you out. You'll know the cases in when you do need more, in which more is more. But more often than not, less is more. And that's my spiel. Winslow out.